Hi there, thanks for stopping by my channel. I am AO Health, and basically in my platform I focus on encouraging and supporting individuals who are along life's journey trying to incorporate physical fitness, nutrition, and just overall wellness into that journey. And today's video is right in line with that. So I'm currently pregnant, and I really wanted to make this video to offer some form of community for overall wellness, because when I was in my first trimester specifically, which is what I plan to talk about today, I definitely reached out to, I looked into YouTube to find community. It really helped me get through the journey, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So thanks for joining me. And today's video, I'll basically break it down into symptoms that I experienced in my first trimester, and then the second half will be the things that helped me get through those symptoms. Excuse me. I still have some symptoms now. No, that's not pregnancy related, just my sinuses. But anyhow, I'm super excited to be here, super excited to share this information. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, again, thank you for coming here. I know pregnancy is a huge journey. Some of us are in it. Some of us just got finished with it. Some of us are just interested in it in general for whatever reason, which is great. All I know is that it is so important to remember, no matter what I share with you or anyone else shares with you, everybody's experience is super individualized. Some people do share similar experiences, but again, we're all different individuals, and we just have a different type of experiences that we're going to have for that reason when it comes to being pregnant. So really quick, starting with the symptoms. I experienced the following symptoms in my first trimester. As early as like 6 weeks is when I first noticed I had pelvic area pain. It wasn't very obvious. It was just kind of subtle, and I started experiencing it, I would say, about twice a day for about 30 seconds to a minute at a time. And I remember following up with my doctor, which you should always do. It's definitely fine to research things on your own by talking to other people, researching things online, but it's always good to just confirm with your doctor when you're experiencing something during pregnancy. So I definitely talked to my doctor and confirmed what it was and if it was normal or not. And she did tell me it was normal. It was just essentially like my uterus stretching so it could support my child. So that was something I remember experiencing. Gassiness. I was very gaseous. Like, I had a lot of flatulence all the time, every day. Just, I mean, it's not one of those things I'm trying to like brag about it, of course, but it's just a part of being pregnant. I'm not trying to brag about it because it's not nothing to brag about, but it is something to just accept. And yeah, you just get through it. But that is definitely something I experienced. In fatigue, just super lethargic all day, every day. And I mean, sometimes it went in waves. Sometimes I had like spurts of energy, but for the most part, I just found myself really tired. And that was like a big adjustment for me, because I'm usually just up and at 'em early in the morning doing things throughout the day. But pregnancy definitely put those things to a halt. And yeah, that's okay. But just to give you a little bit more of an example of how tired I was, it got to a point where I would wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, etc. And then I would say by like lunchtime, I just would pass out for like 3 hours. And it was just an uncontrollable fatigue. So yeah, those are some of the symptoms I had very early on. And then I was hungry. I'm sure you've heard this symptom a lot too, but I just noticed an increase in my hunger. And yeah, I just really wanted to always eat. I did not feel good unless I had a nice full meal. and I needed it consistently, and I needed it on time. And I just remember even after my meals still feeling hungry. So that was another symptom. Now, I'm going to pause for a second. Unfortunately, so I went out of town like around my 7th week of pregnancy. I went out the country for a little bit, and you know how it is. Sometimes you got the country and you come back and you just come back with a bug. Supposedly it wasn't COVID. I took several tests for COVID. It came back negative, but it was definitely a virus. I will never know if my symptoms would have been the same as they were prior to going on vacation, or if they would have changed. I mean, I don't know if my symptoms would have remained the same that they were prior to going on vacation if I did not have the virus, or if my symptoms were going to change regardless, virus or not. But what I do know is after I had the virus, my pregnancy symptoms just went to a whole nother level. Like it was like I had every symptom almost in the book. The only thing I didn't have was vomiting, but everything else I had. And just to give you an example, so when I had my virus, again, this was like around my I think this was like around my 9th week. Yeah, when I got back from vacation, that the virus kicked in, because it kicked in the day I got back. Literally, I was on a plane, I started coughing, had a sore throat. So I had congestion, I ended up having a runny nose, I had really bad, like just really consistent cough. And it was really bad, actually, now I think about it, because it was so bad, like it hurt to cough, you know, eventually. And then I had hot flashes, I had just persistent headaches, and I had really bad hunger pains. I had to write a list out because there were so many things that started happening. I was also like really nauseous, like just as soon as I would wake up, I was super nauseous in the morning. And then the nausea would just continue like randomly throughout the day. And then I just mentioned like the hunger pains. And let me pause, because the hunger pains were crazy. Like I said, before I was hungry, but now, like from the time I had the virus and after the virus, like I was just, it was painful. Like, you know how sometimes maybe pre-pregnancy, you probably had a moment before in your lifetime where you got so hungry you felt like your stomach was touching your back, or you probably heard somebody refer to them being that hungry. That's how I felt, except it was like, it was so bad that I would talk to doctors and nurses about it, and like no one actually understood what I was experiencing. It wasn't until like I went online and like I went into some type of forum, and then I found some ladies who were pregnant a couple of years ago that were talking about it. But you know, we still didn't really figure out what it was. Like we just figured that the doctor said it's probably a bit of indigestion as well as hunger mixed together. But when I tell you, it was so painful, like it was very painful hungry. And then, I had this really bad metallic taste in my mouth. And I'm sure you've probably heard about that. Maybe you haven't, but it was just in my mouth throughout the day. Like after I eat, but also just like when I hadn't eaten for a little bit, I would still taste it. And it almost made you not want to eat, you know, because like there was just this weird flavor in your mouth all the time. And what else? Yeah, so I know I'm leaving some symptoms out, but that is pretty much the symptoms that I had. So I had those symptoms, like I said, during the time frame that I had the virus. And then I had the other symptoms still that I told you about earlier. And these are just the primary symptoms. There's other little things in there that I had, but like these are the ones that were most obvious. And like I said, after the virus went away, some symptoms left. Like I would say the level of congestion I had, it was still present, but it wasn't as bad. What What else kind of got a little bit better? Yeah, my cough got a little bit better, of course. Actually, my cough went away altogether. I wasn't coughing at all once the virus left. But I still had a runny nose occasionally. I definitely still had hot flashes. And that was really weird. Oh, I had heart racing. I felt my heart racing a lot, mainly in the mornings. And then I had, like I said, the headaches and the hunger pains and the nausea and things like that. These things led me to feeling really anxious, because it's like you go from one emotion to the next so quickly, because you're feeling all of these things that you can't control. And what I was told by my doctor is that, when you get sick as a pregnant person, your symptoms are just exacerbated. So like everything I was just feeling was just, it really was as intensified as I felt like it was, right? It wasn't in my head. Like my body was going through a lot, trying to battle the virus I had while being pregnant. And it was an emotional roller coaster, I'll be honest. I was really up and down, and it led me to definitely feeling depressed at times. And it also led me to, as I mentioned, feeling really anxious and just overall uncomfortable, because the anxiety was like, when is this going to end? I am normally just pretty outgoing. I am able to choose happiness, even through challenges. I have different things that I do that kind of just keeps my energy at a good place. And, like the exercise, eating certain foods, meditating, stuff like that. But it just seemed like for a minute, I was just off. Like I could not, the hormones in my body are just like out of whack, and I couldn't get back to my normal self. And I also felt really kind of down, because I did try to reach out to people just to like talk to them about their experiences, like other pregnant mothers, and they just could not relate. Like I did not come across anyone for a while. Like I came across someone much later in my pregnancy, but at first I wasn't coming across anyone who had experienced anything close to what I was experiencing. They actually just had really good pregnancies from what they shared. And that's great. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But I just wasn't having that type of experience. And I do think that sometimes, just like other things in life can be glamorized, pregnancy can be glamorized too. And the reality is there are, again, different experiences. And for some people, pregnancy is just not that fun, or it's just more challenging. So yeah. Anyways, let's talk about what helped me get through these challenging times. Oh, and then one other thing I want to step back and say, so you may or may not be familiar, but antepartum depression is basically depression that you experience while you're pregnant, right? So it's like before you deliver the baby. So you may be familiar with postpartum depression after delivering a baby. Antepartum is basically before. A lot of people are not familiar with it from what I understand, but it is a real thing. And I definitely feel like I was never diagnosed with it, but I felt like I had symptoms of it for sure, if I didn't have it. Yeah. So again, with that, we'll segue into what helped because again, it was a very kind of low period. Like I didn't really want to get out the bed. I was really struggling just with very basic things. So the first thing that helped was prayer. Not we all, but most of us have some higher power that we believe in, that we try to tap into. And when I say I heavily tapped into my higher power during this time, and it really gave me strength. So I prayed, and I did affirmations. That was really important to me. Just listening to them, because I normally would get up and say them and look at myself in the mirror, or all those different things. But I just, like I said, I had points where it was really hard to just do anything. So sometimes I would just be laying in bed, listening to affirmations, but still it was helpful. And then journaling, which is always therapeutic. I definitely did a little bit of that when I felt like it, when I could get the nerve to. It was just helpful getting my thoughts out on paper, especially since a lot of the things, like I said, I was experiencing, I just couldn't find other people that could relate to it. So it was almost like just being able to like exhale, and kind of release these different emotions that I was feeling on a regular basis onto paper. It was very helpful. And then I can go back and look at it too, just to refer to, which is kind of nice sometimes, just to understand where you were and where you are now. What else? Oh, and so YouTube, hence why I'm doing this video. So I really found myself again in a space where I wanted to find community, because I, like I said, was not really able to find other individuals who were experiencing what I was experiencing. And so it definitely left me feeling a bit isolated. However, through going on YouTube and looking up some videos, I was able to run into other pregnant women, a few that also expressed some of the symptoms that I was experiencing. And it was just nice to kind of connect with them in that way. And it was community, And then I was able to learn about how to like push through some of the symptoms too. So that was nice. Also, being vulnerable with the right people. Oh my goodness, this is huge. This is huge in life, just period. But it was very helpful being vulnerable with the right people during my journey. I was able to reach out to like some family members that I had never really talked to on a regular basis like that. But the conversation just started and it had like a certain energy to it, to where I felt comfortable sharing, and they really opened up and were really there for me. Like, they appreciated my honesty and they checked in with me regularly. They began giving me tips. I mean, I just really built great relationships, crazy enough, out of just being open and vulnerable with them. And then, I really found time to communicate with certain people, certain really close friends or like certain family members, again, that just were able to uplift me and encourage me, because that's really all you need. That's what you want, period, in life. But everyone is just not always in that position to give you that, knowingly and sometimes unknowingly. And so you just have to be mindful of that. So that's why I say being vulnerable to the right people. And then also, everyone just doesn't need to know what you're going through, because everyone just doesn't care. So, but it was very nice for me to be vulnerable in that way. And then one last thing I add about being vulnerable, it was so refreshing to just, talk to some people and, maybe initially they're like, oh my gosh, how is it? You're pregnant, just glowing over there and just all the things. And me be able to respond and just say, you know what? I am so grateful, first of all, to be pregnant, because I know this is not a journey that everyone's able to take. However, I am experiencing some real challenges, and, I don't feel that good today. Like, I was just able to just say it, and just like, I didn't have to play along, or just, I didn't have to like live up to, yes, I'm glowing and I'm happy and I'm all these things because I'm pregnant. Because that just wasn't the case. And it just felt good being just very true to who I was in that moment and how I felt. And I think that also helped me get through. Like, I was telling people like, no, I cannot make it there, or I can't do this, or, I was very honest about how I felt and where I was. Super helpful. And then, all right, so sorry, I spent a long time there. Let me move on. The other things that help, getting up and moving around. So you probably heard before, like when you're just feeling kind of out of it in general, it's good to just kind of get up and like stick to a routine. And that can be really hard when you don't feel well. I get it, because I was at a point, as I mentioned earlier, laying down in bed, like I had to disconnect from social media, and I really didn't speak to many people at a point in time, just very few people. And I just had a hard time just even doing things around the house, which is very unlike me. But what I noticed was getting back into my routine, like getting up, like showering first thing in the morning, and just all those little things, like, all of the washing my face, and I actually started doing affirmations in the mirror again, and then just getting dressed, like even if it's just lounge clothes, but just like actually putting on some type of real clothes, not just pajamas. And then doing little things around the room, cleaning up and, organizing the room. Those little baby steps went a long way, because eventually I was able to like leave the room, and I was able to move around in my home and start doing things in other places of my home. And, again, just start off like that. And it was also helpful because eventually I was able to get out the house and go to the park and walk around. But literally walk around in your room, walk around in your entire home, walk around in your neighborhood, go to the park, just wherever you can get up and get moving. That is going to help tremendously. And the other thing I'll mention is giving yourself like a few tasks a day to complete. So normally I will have like a lot of different tasks that I'll try to complete. That's just a little bit of the project manager in me. But honestly, pregnancy already slowed that down a lot. However, when I didn't feel good, I didn't really want to do anything, and that's not good either. I was like the other extreme of the spectrum of just like not doing anything. So I found, just because I do like to be a little bit productive, even when I'm not feeling well, and it's super beneficial. I gave myself like 1 or 2 tasks a day, and I start off really small. Like it would be something like, okay, let's organize the closet. I don't have to go far to do that. It's just right there, And then, next it would be something to do in my guest room, or something to do in the garage, just little stuff around the house that eventually led to me getting out the house and doing stuff too. But super helpful. It just makes you feel again like you're getting back into your normal routine of things, and things don't feel so out of whack. Like you feel like you actually still are managing some aspect of your life. And let's see. So now I'm going to talk specifically about some of like the physical symptoms I mentioned earlier, like the nausea and things like that, and how I push through those. Okay, so the metallic taste. Oh goodness, like I said earlier, yeah, really nasty, very uncomfortable. I found though that drinking water and also like gargling warm water with salt was really helpful. Just maybe like twice a day. So doing that, like I said, drinking a lot of water, gargling salt water, was super, super helpful with helping get rid of that taste. If I wasn't doing that, then I think I would like have some ginger, like a ginger chew or something, that also helps. And then what else? Oh, with the nausea. Speaking of ginger chews were really helpful. I think I got mine from Whole Foods, but they think of ginger chews kind of like a thick piece of caramel. It almost looks like a piece of candy. And I would chew on that a few times throughout the day to really help with my nausea. Also, something my doctor told me, which really held true, was just waking up first thing in the morning, before you even get out of bed, having like just something next to you, like some nuts or, something to snack on. Really helpful, because it just helps put something on your stomach before you actually get up, which helps calm down the nausea to some degree. I also noticed just eating. One of my girlfriends told me that, like, it sounds counterproductive, but like, yes, eating actually helps keep the nausea at bay. So I was told, to eat like several small meals when you're pregnant, which I was already doing pre-pregnancy. But I noticed the several small meals basically was like eating every 2 hours for me, right? And again, small meals. So, having like maybe like a yogurt and some fruit, or, some nuts and raisins or something like that. However, I noticed I needed something more than every 2 hours. to really keep the nausea at bay. So I was eating like every 30 minutes, those same types of foods, but like every 30 minutes. And it worked out great. What else? The fatigue, you know what? I just took a nap. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's really nothing else to say about that. I had to really be okay with the fact that although I felt really lazy taking naps, as my nurse told me, you are being so productive internally because you're producing an actual human. It's okay. Okay, you're still productive when you're laying down and you're napping. So just listen to your body. If you need to take a nap, take a nap. Don't fight it. It is the best thing you can do for you and your child. And then, let's see, the last thing I'll mention is being, lightheaded and uncomfortable. So for me, I just noticed that when I would wake up out of my naps, so like I said, I would take afternoon naps for like 3 hours on average. And I would wake up and I would feel really kind of just off, like a bit lightheaded, kind of dizzy, or just, sometimes my heart would be racing. It was just very uncomfortable. Again, I checked with my doctor, got to do that. And she basically told me it was normal. Of course, if anything were to get worse, that's when there's a yellow or red flag raised and I need to like follow up and let her know. But thankfully it always stayed the same. And she said essentially it was just my blood pressure that was probably lower, because that tends to happen when you've been napping for a while and you wake up as a pregnant person. And it was basically causing me to feel lightheaded and things like that. What helped with that, right away, I would drink water, and I would also have something that was like lightly salted, like some lightly salted nuts, or something else with sodium in it. And it just kind of helped me get back on track. And yeah, so that is basically my first trimester symptoms, as well as the things I did to help me push through. I want to tell you though, however you're feeling, just again, understand that whether someone else feels it or not, it is a part of the journey. Just accept it. You're not alone though, because we all have different experiences. Someone else is going through something else and someone else may not be, but that's okay. Again, it's just a part of the journey, and specifically your journey, and accepting it and just trying to, after that, find the different tools and resources that will help you push through it are most important. And I am just happy I got to share this with you. I hope you find some of this information helpful, if not all of it. And please like, subscribe, share, and I'll be sure to share some other hopefully helpful videos. All right, well, that's all I have. Thanks.